So I'm Lee Trimmer. I'm the head of service delivery for BDO. I look after service desk, instant problem change management functions, our DEX function, our JML processes, our service experience management, and our ServiceNow instance. I'm the product owner for that. Over to you, Sam.
Good afternoon all. I'm Sam Punnett. Pleasure to be here. I've been in IT now around 10 years. Started off on the service desk, desktop support, system administrator, ended up managing platforms, one of which was with NextSync for about 4 to 5 years now. Delivered some really key outcomes with the tool. I had a fantastic opportunity to join BDO. I've been there for around 10 months now, and I'm the digital experience manager, heading up a team of 5. We've got 2 digital experience analysts, 1 digital experience solutions analyst, ServiceNow administrator, and a technical support lead overseeing the team. I'll hand you back over to Lee shortly. He's going to run through our story at BDO, some of the problems we had within IT, how we overcame them, and how we got to the point of building a dedicated DEX team. And then he'll hand back over to me. I'll run through some of the use cases we've delivered and how we've demonstrated value back to the firm. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. So just to give you guys a bit of info about who we are, we're BDO UK. So we're made up of 430 partners and about 8,000 staff, 18 offices dotted around the UK, and our head office is based in London, Baker Street. And our business lines are made up of tax, audit, consultancy, risk and outsourcing, and deals. They're our business lines. And we're part of the global network. So it's popular in 166 countries, and we're the 5th largest accountancy firm globally. So just to go back where we was, and I have to be careful what I say now because my IT director's sitting in the front row, so I'll have to behave myself. But going back to May 2021 when I joined the firm, just assessing where we was really. So when I joined, we had daily stand-ups just to talk about escalations and complaints. And we were spending 45 minutes a day just working through those issues. SLAs between the IT and the business weren't really effective. The service desk didn't really work to them. They didn't really understand them. And that obviously was a contributor to the delays in service. Service desk staff were handling over 100 tickets each. That they were coming in, starting their day, and they were just demoralised from day one, really. They had so many tickets and they were taking so many volumes of calls coming in. It wasn't great for morale, it wasn't good. And the collaboration between first and third line teams wasn't where it needed to be, and that was mainly due to a lack of knowledge. So we didn't have a knowledge management system that could effectively, the third line teams could work closer with the first line team. So that wasn't really in place. Proactive capabilities were limited. We had a DEX tool. It wasn't NextSync, I'll let you know that now. But nobody really understood it. We was trying to do DEX on the side of our desks. Didn't really work out for us. So that was another problem. The service desk had previously not met the requirements for the Service Desk Institute as well. So we tried to be Service Desk Institute certified. We applied for that audit and we failed it. So we took a lot of lessons learned out of that. And our processes and change controls were left wanting. We had a lot of MIs. We had 3 or 4 major incidents every month, most of them down to change. So we knew we had some work to do in that space. So this is what we did. So first of all, we looked at the utilization on the service desk. So we did a time analysis study on how long it takes an analyst to do a ticket. We built that into an Excel spreadsheet and spat out an algorithm. And I had to go to Nick cap in hand and said, we're 130%, 37% utilized on the service desk. And the reason for that was that BDO had grown so much. We'd done a few acquisitions and the service desk hadn't grown in scale to cope with the demand. So it's purely a demand issue. So I got the headcount approved. So we put extra analysts and team leaders in place on the service desk. We looked at the SLAs as well. So we revisited our SLAs. We got the business to sign off on them. And we made sure everyone on the service desk really understood what an SLA was. And we started using our daily stand-up to track tickets that were about to bust SLA. And that we saw the volume started to come down then, was getting less complaints and less escalations. Looked at all of our processes and controls, mainly around change. So we implemented a really robust change management process. So basically knocked back any change that was going on during the day to out of hours, because that's where the root cause of most of our issues came from. And we started to see the MIs coming down over time. Built a new IT portal with self-service, self-help and chat, and we spent a lot of time building out our knowledge bases, not only user-facing knowledge bases, but technical support knowledge bases as well, so our first and third line teams could collaborate better. Deployed 2 full-time tech bars, one in London and one in Liverpool. They're now doing about 20% of all of our interactions in London, which is great to see. People like that face-to-face interaction, so they're a critical part of our operation. We restructured service delivery and merged second line into first line. And what that done enabled us to shift left and free up some of the second line resources, which I'll talk about in a second. As I said there, we had better collaboration between the service desk and third line teams, and we had an effective knowledge management system. So our third line team started to be more engaging with service delivery, and first line, they started to share the passion with the team. We adopted an IT apprentice program, so we now take on 4 apprentices a year, and they come up through the ranks, 15-month program. And we can bring our talent into our organization and groom them from day one. Replaced our DEX tooling with NextThink. It was a much better tool for us. Nick used it in a previous organization and recommended it, so we bought it. And yeah, it was night and day between that and our previous tool. And we built a dedicated DEX team around NextThink. Now, the way we did that was looking at the second line resources that we had, and we run a proof of concept. So what we did is we moved 2 or 3 second line support analysts into a DEX role to prove to Nick that this could work. We could reduce instance coming into the service desk. After 3 months, we started to see the value coming in straight away, and then we moved that headcount. So we reduced the volumes coming into our service desk and enabled us to build the skill set and capability in the DEX team with dedicated roles. And that's how we moved forward. And now our utilization on the service desk is around about 70%. So Nick might be stealing some more headcount off me if it gets much lower. But now I'll hand you over to Sam to talk a bit more detail about the DEX function.
Thank you. The watermelon effect. I think everyone in this room, service desk, desktop, if you're a project manager and IT director, we've all delivered projects. We've all given ourselves a pat on the back. It's been delivered on time. The uptime was good. It was a success. But actually, why are our customers still unhappy? Now, the watermelon effect, it mainly pertains to XLAs and capturing sentiment, understanding what the user feels. But I think for the first time with DEX tooling, we're able to see below those surface level IT measures. The average SLA lifespan is 31 years. So that just shows that we've been measuring the wrong stats throughout. So with NextThink, we're able to see below the surface and unearth some of these common themes, be more proactive, reach out to users before issues happen. And for us, that's what real user experience is. So with that in mind, we sat down, wanted to discuss our vision. And for us at BDO, we're predominantly a finance firm, and we measured on time. We charge in 15-minute increments. So you want to give time back to the firm. So we wanted to deliver a proactive, zero-ticket environment. And being a new team, digital experience, we wanted to deliver that with measurable value as well, something you present back to the firm. I don't know about your place, but at BDO, there's a lot of teams now, the word digital in them, digital enablement, digital products, digital AI, digital experience, new kid on the block. So we had to get some high early impact wins. And as I mentioned, our measure of that was time. So we looked at what was impacting our user base the most. We did that with NextThink, but not only NextThink. We scanned all our ServiceNow tickets, did plenty of analysis. And the biggest contributor to that was our blue screen of deaths. So now we set up NextThink workflows, which if there is a blue screen, it will automatically log a ticket in ServiceNow. And then that would allow the service desk to make an outbound call to the user. And as I'm sure a load in this room have experienced, the response was amazing. We continued that with low DEX. Initially in my old role, we looked at the DEX score as more of a whole. How do we get it from, for example, 71 to 72? But at that point, you're not making the most impact. You should be really, or for us, we started looking at the lower, or the number of users with low DEX scores. So we set up an automation. If the user's DEX score fell below 45, again, it would raise a proactive ticket, log it to the service desk, and the service desk would make an outbound call. and do the remediation steps which we provided them. Same again with hardware refresh. It's quite a time-consuming process for us. We've now set up automations where if the device is out of warranty and it's had a DEX score lower than 50 for 3 times, it will then trigger this hardware refresh process. And that comes across in the form of a campaign that's sent to the user where they have the ability to fill in their address. That will then sync up to ServiceNow and it'll raise the hardware refresh form for them. And actually at the same time, that gives the customer the opportunity to decline the hardware refresh. I think you probably all know no one wants to give their device back. So we've come across that quite a lot, and I'll talk about that with our hardware sweating case study a little bit later. Device reboot campaign, quite simple out the box, but really effective. Campaign there pops up for the user, asks them to give them the option to reboot their device if they haven't rebooted in 7 days. And finally, a more recent one for us was the remote Lenovo dock update. Historically at BDO, we've got a number of satellite offices around the country which are unmanned in IT, and it would take a planned set of overtime for desktop analysts to go out there, update all the docks. We'd often see the problems come through when people would ring the service desk, and then there was always trouble updating that over the phone or remotely. But now with this automation, we've synced it up in an API call into Lenovo dock update. When you plug in the dock, you'll give the user the opportunity to update that dock as soon as they plug it in. And with that, we've raised 7,000 proactive tickets since we started doing this. With those high impact early wins as a team, it really gave us the ability gave us credibility to be a bit more innovative in our use cases. And one for us was our major incident management campaign. At the start, it was quite fragmented. We was unaware of maybe who would be sending the comms, how they would be sent out. NextSync Engage has just come out. Shall we send a campaign? Shall we send it via email? Sometimes the distribution list went up to date. So it was a little bit of a fragmented process there, and that resulted in slow communication and also lack of targeting. We couldn't target specifically by office, specifically by application. If they were remote, sometimes they wouldn't receive the communications. And yeah, if we send it by email, they would miss it on their mobile. If we send it by campaign, they'd miss it on their mobile. So we took a step back. How could we solutionize this? We wanted to utilize NextSync Engage and also email. So we came up with a solution. This is a Microsoft form. It allows us to target via Office or application usage in NextSync. So if that user has executed that application in the last 7 days or the last day, whatever we deem, then they will receive that campaign and that notification of the outage. This allowed us to be targeted, reliable, make sure we targeted the correct users. If they didn't receive the campaign, NextSync in our NextSync flow would then trigger the email. So they'd only receive that campaign and that notification once, which has been a real success for us. I mean, we've got 10,000 users at BDO, so if that's saving a minute per user, I mean, the use case speaks for itself. We then wanted to roll out a chatbot, but we didn't want to do it in the normal fashion. Our goal was never to save money or cut headcount on the service desk. It was all about offering more self-heal function for our customers. So we integrated our chatbot with NextSync, also ServiceNow, also our SharePoint, also our IT Learn pages. So that gives the users the ability to go on the chatbot and repair their business applications, for example. They can run a full repair, run a quick repair, or speak to a live analyst. Also device maintenance. If the user thinks their device is performing poorly, we give them the ability to then pull down their endpoint score from NextSync and run automated maintenance, disk cleanup, remove temp files, all that good stuff. Again, removing the need for them to contact the service desk and the service desk to reach out to them. Configurations and with ServiceNow, they're able to get updates on incidents. And also we've offered them the live chat functionality as well, which has been a big success. We're currently in the process of migrating this into ServiceNow and have the Now Assist function in there as well, which gives us a vastly better summarization of our KB articles. So looking forward to seeing the footfall increase in the future. All this is well and good without being able to demonstrate value back to the business. What is the point of setting up a DEX team? We can tell them all we want about what the DEX score means, but sometimes it's quite hard to quantify, especially if you're not within IT. So for each one of our use cases, even before we deploy the use case, we start off with the problem statement and the value statement. And for example, low DEX, we did numerous research and we came up with this figure that for every DEX point you increase, you are saving the user 5 minutes of time per month. And that was a very conservative estimate as well. I spoke to other Next thinkers, they've used 30 minutes a month. I think Next think are looking to implement something similar, but we decided to edge on the side of caution. So for this particular example, if we run our low DEX automation and we get the DEX score up from 45, which is when it's triggered, up to our average of 75, that's an increase of 30 DEX points. We then times that by 5 minutes per point, times it by hourly rate, and then we take a third of that. Because believe me, when you start building out these return on investment dashboards, the numbers do start to get quite ridiculous. So for each one of our use cases, we've sat down with our IT stakeholders and the business stakeholders, and we've got these signed off. This is an agreed figure, agreed process for the value we are demonstrating back to the business. There's very few use cases, I think, within IT where you can actually say you save cold hard cash and there's not a need to build out these use cases and pitch them to the relevant people. One is license reclamation. We'd noticed that we were leaving leftover licenses, the users that had left the firm, but we built out workflows that were tied into Entra that immediately as that user was terminated, we would reclaim those licenses. Similarly, for license underutilization, we started using application experience, that if the user hadn't used the application within 60 days, they receive a campaign, something similar to this, whether they still need it, and whether they still need it and they will use it in the next day or so, or they haven't used it at all. Depending on that, there's a workflow behind it to remove those licenses. If they don't respond, we'll keep pressing. The main thing with this is, though, we've no longer just, if they say they need it, but they're not using it, we don't finish it there. We now engage with our IT enablement team to ensure that these users are approached to understand why they need it if they are not using it. And device hardware sweating. We pulled all our data out of NextSync and we started looking at our models and the average DEX score. Before this, we were on a 3-year warranty cycle with Lenovo. So every device would get refreshed after 3 years. Very costly. We noticed that a lot of users didn't want to return their devices and they were more than performant. So we don't even target devices now unless they are out of warranty and have a DEX score below 50. So when I joined, I think we had around 2,000 devices that were older than 3 years. I think that's now up to about 4,000 because they're still performant, and that really supports our ESG goals as well. This is how it looks overall since the team was created around the past year or so. With our use cases, we're up to nearly 8 full-time equivalents in cost savings. Just really keeping that in mind when you build out every single use case, the problem statement and the value statement, and don't take on a new idea and really unless that value is there in the first place. That's it from me. I'll pass over to Lee for the final summary.
So if we wrap all that up and look at the outcomes through automation and proactive, shifting from a reactive service desk to proactive and problem management, specialized teams and strategic staff redeployment, we've now achieved significant improvements, I think, across our service maturity. We're showing back return on investment. We're moving into the experience management space now. We're working with X Labs to deploy XLAs across our organization, mainly because our KPIs we're reporting back to our leadership team are just green every month now, and they're probably getting a bit bored with reading it. So we want to add that different dimension and look at the watermelon effect to see if we have one. Hopefully it's a line, but let's see. And to enhance the capabilities has been challenging and rewarding. We've had our problems along the way and we've worked our way through them. The SDI audits that we've had has taught us, it's been a great framework because it's enabled us to look within our processes. And that was invaluable to us signing up with the SDI. And we've certified now, we're a 4-star service desk. We've been certified for the 2nd year in a row. We're now on the 5-star world-class service desk program. Hopefully by next May, we'll get there. But yeah, and this year we won Service Desk of the Year awards, beat quite a few top players there. So
yeah, I think DEX was a huge part of that. Yeah, saying that was a big part of the win. Happy.
Q&As?
Q&A.
Oh, there, thank you. How did you get service desk and on-site supporter buy-in to using the tool, NextThink tool?
Sorry, could you say that a bit louder, please?
How did you get NextThink user, your service desk and your on-site supporter buy-in?
I think from the tool we had previously, it was very complicated for our analysts to use. But because we shifted our second line team into the DEX space, and they started to educate the service desk and started to push adoption that way.
And it's really about those high impact early wins, right? Build confidence and credibility within the team. I'll be honest, we're still having problems with uptake of NextSync in the service desk. I think they're quite set in their ways in some respects. But we've got some workshops scheduled next month, which NextSync are kindly going to attend to help really build some excitement around it, right? We're with the point amplifier at the same time, with the points some new agent workspace pieces in service now, new live chat functionality. So we're trying to build a bigger story to sort of excite them and get them using it.
Hi there. How are you communicating success and information back to end users and employees?
So we produce our metrics on a monthly basis, all of our KPIs, and we produce that up through the leadership team. But what we're doing with XLAs as well is we're going to feed back sentiment to the users on a periodic basis as well. So it's not only important to ask them what their sentiment is, and tell them what we're doing about it as well. So that's why moving into the sentiment space and the XLA space is more fitting for our organization now. So we have that conduit to feed back the progress to them.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think that'll be the best avenue. We have our service delivery monthly report. It's quite technical, I must admit. We've talked about doing lunch and learns, which we will do, but again, that's mainly IT based. So there's probably a space for us to improve there. Digital workplace as a whole, I think, not just digital experience. Yeah, I think XLAs will be our main starting point for that.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
I got you.
Hi, this is Karthik. So I didn't recall how many computers you have in your firm. Let's say you have 10,000 computers. So when you started this DEX rollout, you did all at a big ball or big bang approach, or you started with 3,000 computers or 5,000 computers? This is my first question. And my second question is, how long it took to realize the value? Let's say after the deployment of DEX, I see the value in 3 months or 6 months, or it took 1 year to realize the value of DEX. So these are the two questions I have got.
I didn't catch the first question, sorry.
Yeah, first question, you did big bang or you followed the phased approach to roll out the DEX to all the computers in your firm?
You have a staged approach to roll out the DEX. Yeah, big bang, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big bang approach. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
And the value comment, I can probably answer, although it happened before I joined. I think the high early impact wins, as I discussed, the proactive tickets, the dashboarding, the proactive call outs was the big one for our user base. And really reducing that incident count. We call it reactive incidents. And then the stuff we do with the NextSync, we report on as proactive incidents. So when those reactive incidents come down and the service desk utilization dropped, then that's when the team became permanent. And I believe I joined about 6 months after that pilot period. So 6 months.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And also we saw, one of the stretch targets I've given Sam is to reduce our tickets. So I think last year we was at 0.5 incidents per user per month. And our targets are 0.3, and we're already down to 0.37, I think we are. So it's not just one thing that brings the incidents down, it's a culmination of everything. But the proactive support that was invaluable to us, because that gave us sentiment back. People were calling the leadership team saying, can't believe it, your service desk just called me, rather than them having to call the service desk. So it's very powerful.
And I've just add one thing to that. I think the relationship with the DEX team and service delivery, you need that relationship with problem management, right? NextSync will unearth so much rubbish you probably don't want to see. It's the old iceberg analogy. You're better to have more problems surface than under the water. So that relationship with problem management is ideal. You need that.
Okay, so my question regarding the DEX team, on what basis you selected the team, or on what criteria, what's the skill set that's actually required on the DEX team? And did you actually reallocate or reassign the team internally, or did you hire from outside?
So what we did really is we shifted the second line functions into first line. So we started handing more and more second line tickets over to first line, reduced the levels on the second line team. We basically stole the headcount from second line and built a DEX team around it. Much better for them guys who are doing much more interesting stuff, completely motivated. Service desk analysts are completely motivated because they saw, opportunity for them to progress up. And, most of our DEX team have come up through the service desk. Three quarters of them.
Yeah.
Maybe the last question. Maybe squeeze one more in, we'll see.
Hi there, just a quick one. Are you getting requests from outside of IT service management for your DEX information and metrics? I'm thinking HR, facilities, finance.
So it's an interesting point, actually. So our support functions like HR, finance are all watching what we're doing in this space, specifically around experience management. So we're working with X Labs because we got warned by the SDI. You have to be very careful with XLAs. They can, if you get them wrong, it can degrade service and sentiment. So been working very closely with them, and our support functions are watching what we do. Because we don't want to hit users with survey fatigue as well. So we've got to be very careful about deploying them. But yeah, they're eagerly watching our space to see what we can do.
And there's, as you touched on, there's plenty of ad hoc requests. Yeah. We don't really report anything out of NextSync anymore. Everything is pulled out and represented in Power BI. Tying up multiple data sources. I mean, the guy's skill set has really grown. Power Automate, Power BI, ServiceNow skills, probably far more than their job description says at the moment. But we actually have a digital experience portal for Power BI. We have office attendance, live dashboards, historical attendance, application usage across all of our streams. Plenty of examples where requests have been had and we've shared with the whole firm. They've got the ability to look at them.
Might have to invite you to a cost for these guys when they're finished because we're out of time. But please put your hands together for a fantastic breakout session. Thank you.